Good evening, everyone. The global space economy reaches $626 billion. I thought it'd be a little higher than that, but we got it. It's official. Momentus and NASA partner up to advance in-orbit service, ops, and other servicing. Now, is Elon giving up on Mars? Well, not likely. But he's apparently going to test drive the moon first. A lunar soil test chamber paves the way for future construction. DLR over in Europe unveils its plans for a new control center for a moon and Mars missions, and the picture is real interesting. ISAR Aerospace expands their engine at stage testing. And of course, the race is on, as we know, to turn the moon into a strategic high ground. But there are at least three players when you think about it. Now, getting into space has never been cheaper. And you know what that's doing? It's fueling a new gold rush in related industries, which is something I more or less predicted about 15 years ago. What do you know? And General Galactic, never heard of him, is making a rocket fueled by water. Water. All this and our guest, Wendy Austin. From the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is The Unknown Quantity. Okay, as you know, this show is sponsored by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, and you know what we do, and we champion and strengthen space startups and space enterprises worldwide through advocacy and championship. Our pitch events and boot camps fortify startups to be better investor ready. I'm not going to ask you to put something in the tip jar tonight, though. I usually point to that thing. You know where it is. And you guys have been helping out a lot, and I appreciate it very much. Here's something I'm going to ask you to do tonight that's a little bit different. Tell your friends. You know what? There's a lot of you watch the show every week, but and a lot more of you either listen to it on Spotify or watch it on Apple also, or maybe even come back to our YouTube page and watch past episodes there. And a lot of you I know like what you're seeing. You enjoy it. You keep coming back for more. Why don't you turn us on to some of your friends? You're all on social media. You're all doing your thing. You must have gained a friend or two sometime in your existence. So I would ask you, hey, give them a tip. Come on in, watch the show. Let's add some more to our audience and have even more fun than we are already having. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And I hope you guys can help out. And thanks so much in advance. Now, my oldest space friend, probably since going back to the Big Bang.
Back from the Big Bang. Tom's having tech issues, but I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here, Tom. How are you? Nope, you are silent.
Because last show, it never happened. It didn't happen at all. And I get this warning flash, all of a sudden, boom, I'm gone. And so we'll see what happens tonight. It could be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I know with our guests, I think we're going to have a good time.
We are going to have a good time with our guests. I know a tiny bit about this topic. It's different from our normal space commercialization topics, but she's going to be great. I'm looking forward to her. I'm a big fan of their program, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's our folks. Okay. Joe's here.
Hey, Joe.
And Morty's here.
Nice. Always good.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have other Joes, but Joe, it's good seeing one. There's at least two more. We'll see them too. Okay. Yeah. Sean's saying, let's get to the news before we lose Tom again. Well, okay. Maybe we should start doing that right away. What do we got? Okay. Here's the fun part. Somebody made an official analysis and said that the industry is now a $626 billion industry. We thought it was going to get up to, it was 616 last year. We thought it was going to get up to at least 630, but according to Novaspace, 626 billion. If they say it marks a new phase of growth, there's not a lot. You're just getting the kind of the what do we call the abstract on this,
Right.
And so you have to, like, if you want to read the whole report, you got to hand them some cash, and so I'm too cheap to do that, and so
well, it's
take their word for it.
It's 9,000 euros to get the full document. So we are going to take the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, I'm not even doing the subscription for the Guardian to get stuff. So you know what? Hey, I'm not going to do that.
Right. So they come out with their reports. And Novaspace is a pretty well regarded industry analyst organization out of Europe. They do things with a slightly different methodology than the space report that we're used to from Space Foundation. So in April, I would not be surprised when Space Foundation issues their annual report at their big conference that number does in fact get to be bigger than this 626. But currently, this is the information that we have, 626. It's still good. I ran some math, and thanks to the AI gods, this ranks it in a top 25 nation, like comparable to a top 25 nation. I have 195 nations in the world. Depending on how you rank it, it's number 22, 23, or 24. And it's on its way to, $1 trillion, which puts it above Saudi Arabia and Turkey. I mean, it's a giant economy that is entirely silent and people are completely unaware of.
So in your calculations, when do we hit $1 trillion?
I'm using their numbers. So 1.1 trillion by 2034. I think that's low. That's a cumulative annual growth rate of only 12%. I think that's actually a little bit low, which is why I caution everybody that this group is notably more conservative than the Space Foundation's report that comes out in April. Sure. So it's still great, right? Still awesome. The 626 puts it at kind of a number 22, 23 economy, bigger than the Netherlands, not as big as Germany or Spain. So top 25.
Yep. Okay. All righty. Next up. Now, this is actually a press release through Business Wire, but they announced today that Momentous Company and NASA are partnering up to advance on-orbit servicing and space operations. So they're using their RS spacecraft S10, and it's going to fly as a free-flying imager for their orbital service vehicle that they're building to assess spacecraft health performance. I'm not seeing any money involved, so I don't know what. There's a 10K was filed last April. That's about the only, and the 10K and 10Q forms are mentioned, but it's not like there's a link to them, so you can look at these things yourself. So you have to look it up on your own. But
and Space Act agreements tend to be no exchange of funds, so it usually is implying that it's an exchange of know-how and brain power. But Momentous doesn't put out a lot of press, so I do kind of watch it. They had they were one of the early SPAC companies, so they are publicly traded. They did have a lot of drama in their earliest days that seems to have smoothed out. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
there were a lot of SPAC companies in our sector, and so that's so the few that we have left, there's about 5 of them probably. We can watch those with great interest because we're
right.
kind of rooting for them, you know.
Yeah. We want them to be successful. Yeah, that's all. There's not much more to it than that. On orbit servicing and manufacturing is a big deal. That they're going to have communications between 2 spacecraft is kind of a big deal. Yeah, it's just tech validation more than anything else. They did say that they have sold all of their rideshare capabilities on that mission, so
Yep.
that's great. But again, they didn't talk about any money, any numbers. Yep.
I know some of this stuff is kind of really running the thin edge there of our own self-identified mission of intersection of space and money. And sometimes you have weeks where not a lot of money is talked about. And so, but then last week we had a $600 million week.
So, million. Yeah.
Like, okay, and now here it's like, okay, well, now what do we got?
Right.
This week it's a little slower in that regard, but we still managed to find some interesting, shit. And on not just the next link, but the next 2 are kind of together. Take your pick. We can have the flashy one from Ars Technica or the very simple, almost press release looking thing that TASS puts out, but it's the same topic.
Yeah.
And it's all over the news and everybody's talking about it. Elon apparently is making a pivot from Mars to the moon. He wants to build a self-sustaining, self-growing settlement on the moon. He thinks he can do that in far less time than he would do Mars, simply because, the launch window to the moon is like every 2 days, and the launch window to Mars is every 26 months. So it's like, you know what? Why don't we take a test drive over here and make all our mistakes here? And then then we'll focus on Mars, so maybe we can get there faster. That's my take.
That's to me, it's fascinating. I mean, we've been hearing about Musk and Mars for well. I mean, I've said it before on the show. The very first time I ever met him was the same week I met Tom at the Mars Society convention back in 2002, spring of 2002. And, he was poking around and Dr. Zubrin was giving him advice for how to get to Mars. And, Musk took the bait and has been a Martian ever since. So it is a little strange that, he's delaying his big plans. Some of the things people were talking about why he was taking SpaceX public was specifically to get enough capital to go after Mars directly. And that seems like a pretty big pivot, and it's the kind of thing that's going to show up in their investor documents. So I feel like Musk is trying to get out ahead of that story before they issue their documents for going public.
I wonder if he's getting some feedback on the roadshow.
That
led him to that conclusion.
Right.
They're in the middle of a roadshow right now. You know what that means?
Well, I don't believe that they've started it. I thought they were still reviewing banks, but they're going to, right? And people are definitely having opinions on
Well, sure,
this.
including the people who've already decided they're going to be upfront about it with like Morgan Stanley. They're already in. And so they've probably been having these conversations, and probably the other people they know when the roadshow happens and the feedback is saying, you know what, we'd be a lot more comfortable.
Interesting.
The moon.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, this impacts my team and my company a lot. I don't know how. But I know it's going to have an impact on my team and our company. And I'm not sure whether it's good news or bad news, but it's news for sure. Yeah. So it was an interesting article. It's I would read it verbatim if I could, but instead I'm going to read Musk's tweet that started this whole thing. And by the way, that tweet That tweet has nearly 30 million views, so it's gotten some attention. So this is Musk late last night while everybody in Seattle was watching the Super Bowl. Musk was tweeting. So he says, for those unaware, SpaceX has already shifted focus to building a self-growing city on the moon, as we can potentially achieve that in less than 10 years, whereas Mars would take 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. The mission of SpaceX remains the same: extend consciousness and life as we know it to the stars. It is only possible to travel to Mars when the planets align every 26 months, 6-month trip time, whereas we can launch to the moon every 10 days with a 2-day trip time. Yeah. This means we can iterate much faster to complete a moon city than a Mars city. That said, SpaceX will also strive to build a Mars city and begin doing so in about 5 to 7 years. But the overriding priority is securing the future of civilization, and the moon is faster. So,
yeah, which perfect sense.
It does.
I mean, and Veronica kind of asked here. Hi, Veronica. I don't think Musk was that risk averse. He's not. I don't think he's risk averse at all. But as we mentioned, some of his future public sector investors might be a little more cautious. I mean, his private investors getting him this far and got that to, I mean, NASA wasn't risk averse. They didn't think that program would work at all, but here we are. So it's also just by almost a happenstance series of positive dominoes that have fallen all along the way, going up and up and up and up. And now you're hitting that very first wall where someone might actually push back a little bit when no one's had to before.
We talked about this on the show last year, long before there was any whispers of going public. And the first time I ever heard Gwen Shotwell talk about going public was almost maybe 2014, 2000.
Yeah, right around there.
13, yeah, something like that. And they shut all that stuff down. I mean, they just closed that whole topic off. And one of the reasons for that back then was saying, look, Musk doesn't get to play with his toys if he has to answer to a board. And he very clearly does not like having a board on Twitter when it was still Twitter. Before he consolidated it. So, having a board constrain him. He doesn't really like having a board at Tesla. He's said that a couple times. So, I think you're right. I think this is him getting pushback. Once, but here's a theory that is completely my own, and it is pure speculation, not news. But what if Musk sets this up, spins SpaceX out and XAI and Grok and Twitter all into one nice little package, spins it out. He personally gets so much liquid capital all of a sudden that he can spin an entirely new Martian program up for himself, by himself, and do nothing except focus on Mars.
Yeah, well, that's pretty damn tinfoil of you, dude. But
it is. I know.
I love it. Because I know as soon as I heard it, well, it's not likely, but there is a non-zero probability.
It's a non-zero chance.
It's a non-zero
right?
probability. So in our terms that we use here, it's vaguely important.
Vaguely important. All right. I don't have anything else to add to the news, so I jump straight into speculation.
Yep. Okay, that's it. Right. And next step, we go to hearsay and innuendo. We don't want to go there yet.
Every business plan that is looking at the moon right now must react to this tweet. They must. I will.
Yep.
So I don't know how this is going to play out. Does this doom my elevator, or is it extraordinary news I should be celebrating? I don't know. Well, it was an interesting.
You could certainly make the business case for helping him do the down mass.
Yeah.
So who knows? Absolutely. Okay. Let's move on. We only have about 5 minutes. let's move on. Well, the next thing is really, really quick. There's somebody in Norway, doing stuff for ESA, invented some kind of test thing. They're doing something called cone penetration testing, was a geotechnical method we use on Earth to measure. They push something into the ground to measure resistance, and now supposedly they've invented an environment control calibration chamber. This kind of testing on extraterrestrial soils. Now, I don't know where they're getting these soils from. When we do have, as the Apollo 15 mission certainly pointed out, we have a lot of soils. We have a lot of lunar samples, and probably 90% of them are still sitting in a vault somewhere. And so I don't know if they're making a deal, they can get some of those to actually test in real time, or they've got to wait for the next sample return mission from Japan or someplace to get them. So that's not clear by this article, but they have a way to test it, because testing the solidity of the ground beneath your feet is kind of important when you want to build stuff.
Right.
So I thought that was cool. Next. What else we got? Oh yeah, DLR. This is cool. Now this. Now, they're building a new control center, they say, for the future Moon and Mars missions. You notice how these things, you see the image there. Notice how these things all kind of attach to and integrate with Gateway, which they're also involved in. They're building components for that too. So
I had not noticed that. That's fantastic.
And look how all this comes together. Easy. Yeah.
Right.
It's like a Super Bowl concert. It's so the building.
Oh, I love that. Actually, that's fun. That makes Gateway a little bit more interesting too. By the way, so kudos to that.
Yep.
Our giveaway program that we didn't want to keep funding might actually have a second life.
And they got 58 million euros in basically seed funding for this thing. And DLR is contributing another 20 million. So they got 78 million euros to play with from the state of Bavaria. And
we talked about the 40 billion that Germany is committing to space. I wonder if this is coming out of that bucket.
Yeah, it does. That's not really clear from this article, but But they intend for this thing to become Europe's central control facility for human and robotic exploration missions, and it's all put together in one big thing of the Gateway space station planned in lunar orbit. So they're preparing the operational procedures, and they're building the core modules, and they're going to run it. Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. That one's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah. Okay. The only other thing is the actual rocket company, ISAR Aerospace. I really don't know much about them, but they're out there somewhere near Germany, I guess, and they're Sweden. I'm sorry. Yeah, Kiruna, Sweden, and they're having their test operations there for whatever they're doing. They don't mention how much money they've got to do that, but
we covered the S range in Sweden a couple months ago. It was expanding, and that's when we were talking about spaceports a little bit. So I remember that was a part of it, but I don't remember iSpace at all. So that's probably
a little bit. This next one is kind of a newsy op-ed. If Sean can just put the link up and people can read this one on their own. But basically, Artemis, China, and Musk are turning the moon into the next strategic high ground, and there are 3 players starting out. We don't know how many other players are going to get there later, but that's kind of what the space race is shaping up to be. Artemis / the U.S., China, and then private sector companies like SpaceX working, at least quasi-independently. And we'll see how that goes. I just wanted to throw it out there for folks to read on their own, because I want to do this one last little thing, and we can move on very, very quickly. Because I just feel vindicated in this. It's a article from Money Week. It says investing in space, of course, but it's a sparked a gold rush in related industries.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my old term, space scalable.
Space, yep.
Yeah, well, this is the kind of things that are happening. The advent of far cheaper and reliable access to space is fueling apparently a boom in all sorts of interesting things that a lot of people didn't expect would suddenly show up.
Yep. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's a fun article. It's I looked it up. Money Week, kind of like The Economist as a source. It's British. So I looked them up. They've actually done a cover issue on space. This is the third one. Going back 2022 and 2021 also cover issues of space. So I was a little surprised that this was, this quality an article.
Yeah.
And it turns out they're not new at this. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We don't get The Economist writing about our industry much.
No.
We certainly don't get cover articles. So it was cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I will point out that Skyrora was one of that is mentioned in this article. Was one of our business plan competition. Did they win it that year? I think they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Now here's the thing. That's all the news that fits. We're going to go to we have a very, very interesting guest for you tonight. It's kind of an unusual kind of thing for us. And as usual, it's not probably strictly intersection of space and money, but in a way it is. We're bringing in someone named Wendy Austin. Now, she is the North and Central Florida Regional Director of an organization called FIRST, which is actually huge, much bigger than I thought it was. And it's a robotics community that inspire kids in grades K through 12 to roll their own, build their own robots, compete with them, play with them, do wonderful things with them, and hopefully inspire them to seek out STEM and or space careers. And this thing has been going on for a long time. And we met her at the SpaceCom conference about a week and a half ago. And it's lovely to have her on. Wendy Austin, come on in.
Yeah. Hi.
How you doing
tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. This is going to be a fun one. I'm just enjoying this. We haven't even done it yet. So here we go. Here's how we start. You've been doing this a long time. With this organization.
21 years.
Yep, 21 years. How did you get there? Let's hear your origin story for about a minute.
Okay. So I would like to point out that my origin story does start in space. My father was an engineer and worked for the contract side of NASA forever, from Mercury to shuttle. And he was a judge. He and my mother were judges at the original regional that was held at the Space Center. And my mom was just fascinated and kept telling me I had to get my kids into it. And I kept saying, I'll have that. And so my mother is evil, and she had my son, when he was in middle school, go and be a field resetter at this. And he came home just like he was, oh, I want to do this. I want to build robots. And I was like, okay, sure. But it turned out his school did not have a team. So we connected with another team in town. They let him join. At the end of the year, they fired the mentor. They told the professional mentors that even if they qualified for Worlds again, they wouldn't be able to travel. And James couldn't be on the team anymore because he didn't go to their school. So I thought, okay, we're done. That fall, I got a phone call from the mentor of the team going, hey, you've been a PTA president and a soccer mom and a Girl Scout leader. Do you want to be a robot mom? And I said, that is expensive. And he said, no. I wrote a grant. I have all the money we need. That man lied straight to my face, but I was stupid enough to say, no, that's great. Let's do it. So we formed a team, Next Door Neighbors Garage. And the rest is history because that team is still around. It's FRC 1902 Exploding Bacon, and they are a world champion Hall of Fame team. So, yep, and I'm still here. My children are gone, but I'm still here. So that's how I got roped into this. But I'm telling you, I have done all the things. I have been the PTA president and the soccer mom and the Girl Scout leader and youth group leader and all the things. This is the best thing I have ever done. Watching the students get excited about technology and math, and when they realized that whatever they learned in physics that day now makes sense because of what they were trying to do on the robot, you watch that go off. And, being a theater major, I can't really help them a whole lot with that. The man and mom were probably plotting, that is true. But there's $80 million worth of scholarships through this program. So my youngest daughter, she got a $20,000 scholarship to Embry-Riddle, got her mechanical engineering degree, which is the best one, and walked right into a job with Lockheed Martin because they had literally been watching her since she was 11. And when she was a senior in college, Toby Allen, the HR person, walked up to me and said, "Hey, is she done yet? Can we have her now?" And I'm like, "She's right there." And I know it's probably up to 40 now, alumni from Central Florida teams that now work at one of the 3 Central Florida Lockheed plants. And I'm sure worldwide it's even more. And my child is no longer in Central Florida. They sent her to Colorado without my permission to do missiles and I don't know. She does something with rockets. I don't know what it is. I'm a theater major.
She does something with rockets.
She's attempted to explain it. I don't know.
You light them off here at this end, they go somewhere. Whatever it takes.
Is she in the military in Colorado?
Nope.
No.
She works for Lockheed Martin.
Okay, cool. Good for her. Yeah.
They have a big facility. They have a few big facilities there.
They do. Yeah.
She's in
Denver. Yeah.
Oh, good for her. So that brings you right back to space. So First Robotics is planted like nice centrally in that circular loop. You started with space, got to robotics, and sent your kid to space. So excellent.
Exactly. And actually, the first program was sort of based on the Apollo program. So Dean came in. Well, okay, so Dean came in, which is the guy who invented this. He also invented the Segway and the insulin pump. He's a smart guy. He realized that society celebrated. What they celebrated was what happened, and everybody was celebrating sports, and that's where all the kids wanted to go, right? So he knew during the space program, you had all of these competing contractors that had to learn to work together when they were on the same contract to put a man on the moon, right? So when you're at a competition, each team has a robot, but at the high school level, they play 3 against 3. And you're randomly paired with who you're playing with and who you're playing against in each match. So you have to learn how to cooperate and you have to learn how to work together to win and to score the most points. So that was kind of his thinking as to why he kept creating alliances, because if we are going to continue to go farther and farther into space, there have to be alliances. It can't be just one company or one anything. And you got to, even though that, and I love it because like the whole theory was when you're on the field, you compete like crazy. But when you're off the field, you are going around and you're helping all the other teams because you want to make sure everybody else is playing at the highest level that they can play. Because if you beat somebody who's got a crappy robot, that's no fun.
Yeah, great. And it's true, your programs, I like to know more about the structure of how this thing works, because your programs, I know, are divided from K through 4 and then 5 through 8 and then 9 through 12, something like that. You get, they move up ranks and things get more sophisticated. I'd like you to talk a little more about that. And then let's talk about, how you get into the schools in the first place and what schools you do this stuff in there. Or do you do things independently? Always.
Yes.
Yes. You do it all. Okay.
We do. First of all, we start at age 4.
Wow.
Okay.
So our 4-year-olds to our 14-year-olds are what we call first Lego League, and they build with actual Lego. Our 4 to 6-year-olds are mostly in daycares and church programs and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then our 6 to 9-year-olds are part of First Lego League Explore, and they do a research. So I'm going to back up just a second. Every year there's a theme. Like this year, the main theme of the season is called Age, and it's all about using science and technology to help archaeologists discover civilizations underground, in the water, and in space. And so each game is a little bit different, but they're all kind of based around that theme. So in Explore, they do a project sort of based on that theme. So they go out and they talk to archaeologists and other people associated with that to find out what their problems are and how they can solve them. And then they come up with an idea, and then they build a Lego model. And the model has to have 2 simple machines and 1 moving part that they can program with a little We-Do motor that comes with their kit. And then they make a little science fair board that's got lots of glitter on it usually. And they do showcases, and the judges come by and ask them questions about what their strategy was and what did they learn and things like that. And then everybody gets a medal because they're 4 or they're 6.
Right.
So that's how Explore works. Then you get to Lego League Challenge, and that is one most people think about when they hear Lego League. So those students play on a 4-foot by 8-foot table. It is a fully autonomous robot this year. I think that's changing next year. There's usually anywhere from 12 to 15 missions, and they have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to complete as many missions as possible. And they play with 2 tables side by side, and there's always one mission that is a teamwork mission that if both teams do it, then they both get points. So see, we teach them early to do this.
Right.
They also have to do an innovation project where same thing, they do their research, they figure out what a problem is and how they're going to solve it. And then they do research and talk to scientists and engineers and all kinds of different people. And it doesn't have to be real. The project does not have to be real or even reasonable. But then they do their research, and then they do a 5-minute presentation to judges followed by 5 minutes of questions. So it's like a little Shark Tank thing. To give you an idea, one year I was a judge, and the whole game was based on the body. And this team decided that they created a gummy bear that had a computer chip in it, that when you ate it, it lodged in your pancreas and automatically sent all your insulin data to your iPhone because iWatches didn't exist then. So, okay, again, theater major. So I'm judging and I'm asking questions. So I asked one of them, I said, well, how does the computer chip know to lodge in your pancreas? And this little boy goes, well, there is a specific enzyme XYZ in your system, and it only exists in your pancreas. So we're going to paint the chip with it, and it will know to lodge in your pancreas because it will feel at home there. And I was like,
okay, good answer.
all righty. These are 9-year-olds.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Lego League bridges from elementary to middle school. When you get in middle school, starting from age 12 all the way through high school, is First Tech Challenge. And they are smaller robots than the one you saw at Spacecom. Mm-hmm. They have to fit into an 18 by 18 inch box to start, but they can expand out. So this year's game, I was just at one of the league championships this weekend. By the way, we have a Central Florida team that is ranked 19th in the world right now. Go Fractal Fusion. And they're all sophomores, all of them. So anyway, these guys, they pick up like essentially wiffle balls, and they're purple ones and either yellow or green, I don't remember. And they pick them up and they shoot them into a hopper kind of thing. And if they can get them in a specific color order, they get extra points. So they have light sensors and limelight cameras and different April tags and stuff. And then there's an end game, but I don't remember what it is because I was too busy talking to the volunteers and the teams to watch. That is our to high school. And I think I'm still on. It says I lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're good. We're good.
And they also go through judging. They have to do an engineering portfolio. They have to talk about how they, what their business plan is. How do they approach their sponsors? How do they stay connected to their sponsors? What kind of outreach are they doing to help bring STEM out into their community? Here's your design portfolio. And the nice thing about FTC robots is you can take them apart and redo them in between matches, because FTC plays in leagues. And so they get 3 league meets and then a league championship, and then they qualify to go to states and then to worlds. The big robots, which is what I do, is FIRST Robotics competition. Those robots can be up to 5 feet tall, weigh 120 pounds without bumpers and batteries. They play on a basketball-sized court field. And it's 3 against 3. And that's a 3-day competition. The other ones are all like one day. It's bonkers. And so this year in the Orlando, and I run the Orlando regional and the Tallahassee regional, and then my counterpart Sandra runs South Florida. But I think there's something like 60 something regionals or competitions all around the world. Wow. Someday I'm going to go to the Australian one. Or the Hawaiian one, either.
Right, sure.
Don't
yeah,
care.
that sounds like a good time.
Right.
Yeah. It's research.
So
you can call it research. Right.
So this year the regional is in March in Orlando at UCF's campus. I have 59 teams coming. I have 3 from Turkey, 2 from Panama, a Dominican Republic, Sweden is coming, and then the rest of the teams are from Florida except for one that's coming from Alabama, and that's the Ogres, and we love them. So I'll have about 2,000 kids in the event this year. Running around for 3 days, and it's so complicated. It's very much like if you are on a team, it's like running a small business. Like I said, they have to create a business plan. They have to get a budget. They have to go out and raise money, and it's not cheap.
Right. What kind of budget is it? Right. Because there's a limit to, you can't kind of buy your way into victory. Right. Yeah.
No, there's a limit on how much you're allowed to spend on your robot, but it's not just the robot, because you've got to have travel money and food and t-shirts and parts and a build space. So the team that I am a mentor on, our budget this year I think is $63,000.
Yeah.
And we're a community
60,
team
times 60 teams, 70 teams just with your region.
I have 60 teams in my region. There's 90 in Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So 90 times 60, is that roughly the right budget? I mean, are they all raising 60 grand?
No, because like the team that the majority of the veteran teams and the older teams, they'll go to 2 or 3 events.
Okay.
So like I have a rookie team. I actually have like 6 rookies this year in Central Florida, and they're only going to 1 event. And like the Orlando teams, they don't have to pay for travel because they just drive themselves to the arena. And a lot of that depends on where you are. If you live in Idaho, even if you're just going to 1 regional, you're traveling.
You're traveling, right? Yeah.
You're traveling.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're very lucky in Florida. We have 3 events here, and they're each about 4 hours apart. So you're never really far. But you got to figure a bus, like a coach bus these days, is like $10,000 for 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have to have the travel day up. Then you're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then if you're smart, you leave that night and have the bus drive you home. But you also have to pay for the bus drivers' hotels for those days and, all that kind of stuff. Yep. And you have to pay for hotel rooms for 35, 40 kids. Right. And there are some teams that are real little, and they have like 10 to 15 kids. And then you have some teams that have 100 kids. I don't know what you do with 100 kids. I really don't. They should just split those teams in 2. All right, so I've prattled on. So what questions do you have so far, and what didn't I answer?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I know right now Morty is asking, are all the regionals the same games? Okay.
Yes.
Let me give you some background on Morty for a second. So when you first started 21 years ago, you were not working with the Lego team, right?
No, I started with the big guys.
Do you remember that there was a Space Elevator Lego League challenge? Do you remember that existed, or was that before your days?
I don't know that. I'm trying to remember if Lego existed when I started, but yeah, no, that was before me.
Okay, so the Space Elevator has been a piece of the FIRST community for 20 some years, right? And that's how I got aware of FIRST. I've been at a couple fundraisers for FIRST because of my background with robotics. But Morty is running a competition on the Space Elevator. He's trying to build a global competition program for the Space Elevator. So that's kind of background for his question of, are all the regionals the same games?
Hi, Marty. Yes, it is the same game in every regional because they play through and then they qualify to go. And some areas like the Mid-Atlantic region are districts. So they're a little bit different. They play twice and then they have a district competition and then they qualify there to go to the World Championships. So yeah, you have to all play the same game and everybody designs a robot to play that game. So, and everybody gets the game at the same time, like everyone in the world. This year it was January 10th, noon here in Florida. And at that point, they get a game manual that's about 350 pages, and they get a crate full of stuff. There's wires and motors and programming languages and CAD software and all bunch of stuff. And they all have the same amount of time, essentially, to build. They have to strat it. First, they have to read the dang rules. And then they have to, sorry, I'm used to being around kids.
Right.
Yeah. And they really need to read the rules. So they have to read the rules and then they come up with a game strategy and then they have to figure out what their priorities are and how they want to design their robot. Then they have to prototype it and then they have to CAD it and then they have to either cut the parts themselves or send the parts out to be cut. And then they have to put it all together and wire it and program it, and sponsors' logos are on them just like NASCAR, and then go play the game. So it has to all be the same game because otherwise they would not make it.
Sure.
What's the time frame? You said January 10th to when? When is the first competition?
The first. So we have 7 weeks of regionals. The first regional
7 weeks.
7 weeks. Yeah, I know it used to be 6. Now it's 7.
Okay.
The first week of regionals is the first weekend in March.
Okay.
And
so everybody has to do all of the things you just described in that amount of time,
unless their first regional is until week 3 or week 7.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. All right. You get a little bit more. All right. But still, it's for all the marbles in less than 3 months, start to finish. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm just going to pick the high school teams because I know them the best. How many folks are usually on a high school team? You said there was 100 people on one team, which is a crazy outlier, but what's normal?
Average is 35 to 40.
Okay. All right.
Some of the teams on the Space Coast, because Brevard County's got really good teams that have been around. Most of them, this will be their 28th year. Their teams, a lot of them are 60.
Wow. Okay. And you can't do this if you're not in school.
Yes, you can.
Oh, you can. Like as a private citizen, at 58 years old, I could be like, I want to do FIRST. I can do FIRST.
Sure, you could come be a mentor. We'd love it.
No. I'm saying to compete.
Oh, no. You have to be in high school. Sorry, I thought you meant.
Okay,
I thought you meant are the teams only high school based teams? No, some of them are community teams.
Okay.
We have
all right.
4-H teams and Boys and Girls Club teams and Boys and Girl Scouts teams. But yeah, to you be a student.
Awesome.
I just wanted to ask real quickly about the organization itself. First of all, you're everywhere. You're like in every state, I think, in Hawaii and everywhere, and you do these competitions all over the country. I was going to ask you a minute ago whether or not you're thinking of expanding to other countries in the world, but then I thought about that because you mentioned that other countries are already coming to you. So
Yes.
So how does that work, and how's that going to expand from there? How do you get the rest of the world involved? Did they all just come to Florida to your competitions, or you're going to start setting up chapters in Greece?
Well, actually, we do have regionals in Brazil and Israel and Turkey and Mexico and China, Australia.
So you're already there.
So that we're already there. Right now, I think I can't speak for headquarters because I don't work up there. I work down here. I think that they would really love to expand in Europe. I know that a lot of the Swedish team, the Norwegian teams, the Netherlands teams, they all come here because it's winter there and it's Florida here. So,
It's Florida here.
It's, yeah. I generally don't have trouble getting people to volunteer at my regional or to judge because, again, I live in Florida and it's March and I'm right next to Disney World and the Spaces Center. And it's so fun. I remember the first year, one of the first years we started, one of my team as a welcome thing and a community outreach thing, they met all of the international teams at the airport when they showed up because they all showed up like a week early or something. And we had big baskets full of sunscreen. And it was like, you are sunscreens. And there's a safety award. And my kids, they never wanted to win the actual safety award where it meant being safe with tools. So they used sunscreen as their safety push for the year. And so they passed out sunscreen and we wrote to a suntan lotion company. It was called Ocean Potion over in Cocoa Beach. And I asked for, sample sizes to give out. They sent me 2 cases. No, it must have been 4 cases of full size bottles.
Awesome.
And this little girl from England comes running up to me with her friend. And she's like, Miss Wendy, I just want you to know that we went to Disney and I used sunscreen and she didn't. And she is beet red.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's terrific.
My God, Yeah.
Morty's got a question about the international stuff. So he has teams in the US, Germany, Japan, and they're starting to build out teams in Kazakhstan and Mongolia. Do you have any
suggestions?
First teams? Do you have any first teams in those regions? Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Germany, and Japan.
So Japan, I think we do, but we also have a sister competition called First Global, where it's more like FTC, the smaller robots, and it's teams. It's kind of like the Olympics. There's one team from each country that comes, and they've held them in Greece and Panama. The last one was in Panama. I don't remember where this year is, but I think it's somewhere I want to go. So
it's always
so Marty, if you email me, and I don't know if I can put my email in the chat or not, but I will if I can. And just email me and I can connect you with some of our international partners. Turkey, I will say Alex in Turkey is running. They do 3 regionals in Turkey, and the majority of the Turkish teams travel over here as well. I've got 3 teams from Turkey at my regional this year. One of them, 2 at the other one.
I think Morty needs to take a road trip down to Florida just to kind of see it in action. I think that's my recommendation.
Either that or wherever you live. I'm sure I can tell you where there is a.
It is up in New York. It's a super.
Oh yeah, they've got tons. I think they have 3 regionals up there.
Yeah.
If you go to first, if you go to firstinspires.org, you can search for where the events are.
Okay. I was just thinking because I'm thinking about organizations like SGAC and places like that. I'm thinking, I mean, obviously you've inspired probably thousands of kids now to do all sorts of interesting things and pursue careers in the end. Have you
Oh
ever
yeah.
kept track of how some of the brighter ones did? Do you ever follow those
Oh
people at
yeah.
all? I mean, God, you've been doing this
Oh yeah.
21 years. You've got some kids in your program and they're like 30 now, and you just wonder, where they are.
I have kids that now come back to my regional and hand me their babies.
Wow.
We're to the
Cool.
point now that in about 2 years, we're going to have a killer explore team with all of the next gen kids. In fact,
Right.
so when we started Exploding Bacon, I had 4 college kids that taught me everything I needed to know because, again, theater major. When we started Bacon with the intent that it would still exist when their children were old enough to be on the team. And this year, Dan Richardson's daughter is old enough. She's a freshman in high school and she's old enough to be on the team.
Super cool. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. Everybody on this call has heard that I've had more than 50 interns, and I track what they do and where they go. And some of them are absolutely amazing kids. They've done, remarkable stuff. So I love that you're tracking that. That's
so can I tell you about 2 real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Please.
So one of them, and I've known him since he was practically born, but he's a software guy. I don't understand what he does, but he does cybersecurity. He sold his first business when I think he was like 23, and then started another one and sold it. And now he runs a company called Alter, ALTR, out of Melbourne. 60% of his employees are first alumni. And he just got a bajillion-dollar contract with an unnamed alphabet agency. And he is 35.
Good for him. Wow. Right on. All right. Well, with our remaining 3 minutes, what does 5 years look like? 5 years from now look like, and what does 25 years from now look like?
So like I said, we have 90 teams in Florida right now. In 5 years, I'd like to have 125. But it's a hard sell to schools, especially right now because teachers are already overworked. So we need people to come in and volunteer as mentors to help, to have their companies support the teams, because raising this amount of money, especially in rural areas, is real difficult. And a lot of times people don't understand that rural areas need people who can fix their farm machinery and invent whatever the next one is going to be. So these are the kids. These kids are the kids you guys are all going to want to hire. And I'm having a mini job fair actually at the regional on Wednesday night, if you're interested.
Okay.
So that's 5 years from now. 10 years from now, oh God, I'll be 75. I would like to see 200 to 300 teams in Florida. I know Michigan right now has 300 and something teams because all the car companies support the teams.
Beat Michigan, clear motive for sure. Okay.
But
25 years out.
25 years out, I would like there to be a first team in every school, every Girl Scout team, every Boys and Girls Club, because these kids are our future. They're who are going to change the world. And that's why I think, and most of them love space. And I think that's why all these little space companies need to be sponsoring their local team, because then you're going to pick which kid you want to bring in next and bring in next and bring in next.
My intern from last summer was, she runs her team out of Issaquah, Washington. So hats off to Christina. Amazing kid, amazing student, amazing intern. I've already written 2 letters of recommendation. So I'm doing my part.
And we appreciate it.
Well, I know that you're doing a lot of competitions right now. In fact, my producer Sean here also mentioned, we should go to one of those. And so I tend to agree with him. So you might be seeing us here soon. Let's let's figure something out. I'd like to go watch that. And on that, Wendy Austin, Regional Director of First Robotics, an amazing program you guys have, and I can't wait to see some of it myself again, really, really quickly. Thanks so much for being here, and let's hope we can get you back again sometime.
Absolutely. March 20th, I've got your card. I'll put you on the invite list.
Cool. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yep. And on that note, Thursday, Chip Joyce returns to the program for an always insightful discussion about AI, the good, the bad, and the potentially terrifying. As always, 8 p.m. Eastern for Michael Lane and Sean Key at the News Desk at Center for Space Commerce and Finance. I remain Thomas Andrew Olson. Keep watching the skies.